One of the obsessions that the West has got is that the newspapers and news media has a right to knowledge. I'm not sure that's necessarily true, and I'm not sure it's necessarily prudent. And Keir Starmer's trip to the Baltic states today and his scheduled visit to troops near the Russian border seems extraordinary that we are providing that level of information about his itinerary at the same time as the heightened security risks as Ukraine reveals that it is behind the assassination of the fellow with the scooter in the southeast of Moscow. It's an unusual juxtaposition to publicize the travel plans of a UK leader in proximity to heightened security risks. Uh, Starmer's presence at the Joint Expeditionary Force Conference underscores NATO's unity against Russian aggression, and that's good. Statements advocating more military and financial support for Ukraine is good. Signing an energy partnership with Norway reflects economic and defence ties, and Starmer's narrative of doubling down on Ukraine aligns with Western solidarity, but sits uncomfortably next to covert military actions. Ukraine's claim of responsibility for the bombing that killed Kirillov, the head of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops, is disturbing. His alleged role in chemical weapons deployment makes him, of course, a legitimate target in Ukraine's eyes and in, I suspect, the eyes of NATO. And Moscow's response, labelling the attack terrorism, raises tensions. And I think this is a volatile situation. Starmer's diplomatic engagements aim to project stability, cooperation, and calculated deterrence. And Ukraine's actions, a direct and provocative strike against Moscow and in Moscow, displays the unpredictable asymmetric warfare that Russia now faces and has brought on itself. But there's this clash between the transparency of governmental action and the secrecy necessary to conduct activities on enemy territory. And publicising Starmer's movements today feels unwise given the atmosphere of espionage and targeted violence. Revealing his movements makes him a symbolic target, doesn't it? Proximity to NATO's front lines increases risks in an already volatile region. And the irony of highlighting UK NATO defence technology while assassination headlines dominate the news is an unintended reminder of how close these threats are. The focus of Ukraine's covert operation risks overshadowing the diplomatic message of Starmer's trip. This is about public perception, and the assassination, while in many ways laudable, it undermines diplomacy, and there is a perception of escalation. Starmer's visit alongside Ukraine's bold attack fuels Russian narratives of Western complicity in Ukrainian aggression, and referencing Cold War espionage tales where diplomatic visits can coincided with covert acts is worrying. The awkwardness of promoting cooperative defence while covert retaliation goes on raises questions about Western involvement and reinforces the need for greater caution and greater cooperation. I think there is a time when the international news media should pull back. Diplomatic itineraries should balance transparency with strategic discretion, especially in volatile global contexts. And Starmer, as the statesman advocating unity, demonstrates a tension between these roles. On the one hand, you've got Starmer, and on the other hand, you've got Ukraine as the state engaging in covert justice. In a world increasingly shaped by hybrid warfare, where undoubtedly the US is training troops in drone technology, where diplomacy and espionage intersect, how leaders communicate their roles is as critical as the roles themselves. How leaders behave is as critical as who they are. And the absurdity of these contradictions highlights the serious implications of the problem. Publicizing itineraries in the middle of a high-stakes global conflict seems to me to be the top level of stupidity, and it raises the stakes in a way that is unnecessary. On the other hand, of course, you could say, well, the Russian intelligence would know exactly what he's doing anyway. Of course they would. Of course they would. So in a way, my concerns for Starmer's security are a little bit vapid and unnecessary. Am I my brother's keeper, we might say. But there we are. My reference to Genesis and Cain and Abel stops there.